Okay, to be honest, my camera's on. I just didn't have it plugged into the... give me a second here, folks. Okay. Yeah. Is it on? Okay, good. Wait. But everything's blue. I'm blue. Haboodie, 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 haboodie. Okay, let's see if we can fix this. There we go. That's a little more like it. All right. Okay, getting my headphones on. Might as well turn off my speakers. I was gonna lose my center monitor here for a quick second. All right. Anyway. Hello, my fellow viewers and subscribers. Welcome back to another live stream. And today... Anyway, hello, I thought you were streaming to the, wait, why does it say the audio bitrate is, 0? And then over here it's saying, wait, is it still... Things are falling apart here! What the heck? What's going on here? Tell me. Tell me. I'm listening back to my own audio feedback here, okay? And it's working. It is broadcasting audio. So why does it say the bitrate for this audio is 0? Okay, I'm gonna mute myself because I find myself annoying. Anyway, alrighty then. So, if you remember last stream, if anybody is watching right now, or if anybody who watched the last stream, or, you know what, if I have to recap you, I'll recap you. First of all, I would like to say that last stream, I actually had to make a bit of a decision on my room transitions, and I had to make some fixes. Well, I actually did some quick adjustments, actually. I actually lowered the number of colors that I need for the room transitions. Let me show you. So, last time it was all the way up to 12. Now it goes all the way up to 9. There's a reason for this. The reason why I have it going all the way up to 9 instead of going up to 12 is primarily because I realized that, hey, look, I can actually just set it so that it's going in a certain direction. I can actually have it set so that it's reading a certain direction for whatever file the transition is. Okay, let me try to sum up my thoughts here. Sorry. Got an itchy head. Alright, so to give you the lowdown, to say what I really need to say and what I need to do and what I'm trying to do here, basically I kind of realized that, hey, look, if I'm going to be setting, like, the direction that the player's going to be going in and have it set the trigger, well then, why don't I just have it so that not only the trigger... I mean, since if you're going to go into the trigger, I might as well make it so that it doesn't set a direction at all, so that the player still remains kind of directionless. But when it hits that trigger, it will read the direction and load in the next room, or at least make the player switch over so it reads the geometry of the next room as soon as the player transfers over into it. Instead of just going like, oh yeah, we're going to have the direction set the same for like trigger number 1, trigger number 2, trigger number 3, trigger number 4. Instead, we'll just have it all mapped to one trigger. Now, I know there's going to be some people who think that there's going to be a speedrunning tactic, but hey, look, here's one thing I got to say. In a Switch statement, it's a little bit difficult to do, and the way I'm also going to have it set up, it's also going to be even more harder to do, too, because, well, if I have to tell you my level design, give me a quick second here. Granted, I'm not an ace at this, but I'm not bad either. Though, granted, some of these ideas I might take to future projects. Though, granted, I was thinking about doing some quick little videos. Okay, here we go. So basically, these are the files that contain the loading triggers. I know, they're very small, but yeah, here's the loading triggers all the way up here. Unfortunately, though, this is the level design. You couldn't get to this loading trigger up here if you tried. You can't get to this loading trigger down here either. I was planning on having a separate loading trigger down here too for like an entirely separate area. But of course, I kind of wanted to have it in the style of a Metroidvania, so basically you would have to come back to this area in order to progress further. I mean, not in the backtracking sense, but in the sense of you need to be back here just to get to another zone. A zone that was sealed off a long time ago, you know? Or at least story-wise, anyway. But yeah, I don't think you can necessarily store the triggers with how some of it will be set up, because see, even this zone is going to be kind of hard to switch the triggers around. Oh yeah, not to mention, it also resets back to 0 every single time you leave these trigger zones anyway. So, finish off my Arizona tea there. Arnold Palmer, in case you're wondering. Though I do love Mucho Mango. That one's actually pretty good. It's not a popular one, but it is a good one. So anyway, basically when it comes down to it, you cannot just automatically just jump from zone to zone and carry over a zone, or have a glitch where it carries over a zone. I don't think it can necessarily glitch it out or bug it out where you can carry over another zone over to a different trigger. Because I don't think that's going to work. And also, it's probably going to cause a lot of issues too, considering that, you know, if it detects a zone within a zone, what the story being where it's at, and which zone is loaded, then of course, which also, I think I did have that file saved too, I think. Give me a quick second here. Did I save it here? New.1 text. Actually, nope. That's a resource file. What am I doing looking at that? Ugh. Story stuff. Okay, I thought I had this saved, but maybe I didn't. Oh well, I kind of had a bit of a hierarchy system going. I was planning something out. So basically when it comes down to it, I kind of wanted to have it so that when you hit a test trigger, or well, when you hit a trigger... Actually, when you hit a trigger, it will check several things. It will check where the story's at, it will check where the player is at, and it will... where the player is currently at, it'll also set the zone for the next zone. So basically kind of going like, hey, look, the player's in this area, the story's here, so get ready to load this area in, you know? For the doors, it's going to be a little bit different, though. For the doors, basically, it's going to check where the... Well, actually, the doors is pretty much going to do the same thing, but instead of it being like it preloads everything, instead, everything's just going to be switched over as soon as you hit that trigger and you go up into it. I mean, that's the basic idea right there. Apparently I had a viewer, but I lost him. Or her. I'm sorry. I'm kind of developing right now. Though, granted, there was somebody who actually contacted me and told me that they actually updated one of their games that they submitted to the GMTK Game Jam 2021. Wow, that was like 3 years ago. Holy cow. Though, actually, I actually wouldn't mind playing it, actually. Again, because actually I believe this game was actually pretty freaking good, if I remember correctly. I think it was tied together for that theme. And honestly, I submitted a game that was like halfway finished. Well, not even finished. It was just like early stages, beta, prototype. Though granted, the idea was pretty neat, where basically these two guys were supposed to be linked together in both thought and death. And I kind of wanted to have it so that every single... But of course, they also got an immortality spell, but every time they die, they have to wake up right next to each other. So, you know, you will end up in situations where you can end up in the pit, you have to insult the enemy, and you have to kill yourself in order to progress. Or there's going to be a situation where you have to... Where you get into the next room, you're going to need the other person, and unfortunately, he's stuck in a pit, so you have to kill yourself in order to progress. You know, that sort of thing. it was a rather interesting idea, and honestly, I kind of would have wanted to play around with it a bit more, but unfortunately, I never got the chance to really finish it within the allotted time because I overscoped. And the idea was is that basically these two, this they heard rumors of a princess being locked inside a tower, and of course they were off to rescue her. But of course, because they are rivals, they were trying to do everything they can to hinder each other at each and every step. And of course, they try to think. But of course, they try to keep their thoughts away from each other when they don't need to have their thoughts together. But then, of course, in that case, I think, actually, tell you the truth, I could probably just scrap that mechanic. I mean, I could almost scrap that mechanic anyway, but... Actually, I had a funny twist with the princess at the end of that all. I'm not gonna lie. I really did have a hilarious twist planned. Anyway. Alright. Okay, I also did have a little bit of a story built up right here too. Actually, I was thinking about sharing this on on the Discord actually. And also, I am working on an enemy design right now. Though, granted, right now I haven't settled for anything yet. When it comes down to the enemy design for the characters, which of course the playable characters, I was thinking about just going like generic girl, generic boy, and just leaving it as that. And granted, I was thinking, if they want to customize it, well, actually, I was planning on adding a shop feature to the game anyway, so not that really. I think I would stick a shop feature inside the Game Jam version, especially with the fact that I don't have much time left anyway. I mean, quite literally, the 15th is next week. It's kind of crazy to think that I'm getting another year older next week. Very crazy. Super crazy. Oh man, happy birthday to me. The Game Jam ends on my birthday. Whoopee. Ah, there we go. Here we go. So anyway, here's the story. And yes, I did put end of demo right there. It's a little rough around the edges. It's just basically footnotes right now, but I'll detail it out just a little bit more when I got the time. I also kind of wanted to do some story by world building, visual storytelling, that sort of thing. Because honestly, I kind of like that stuff, really. I mean, not very few people seem to do that now these days. And honestly, I think it would be kind of nice to bring that back. Which is kind of the reason why I'm also excited for DreamWorks' Wild Robot. Because I think that is going to be a story that is probably going to be better told through the visual storytelling aspect rather than being told through, well, the storytelling aspect of me narrating a story to you or saying absolutely everything that's going on screen to you, I mean, I'm not against the idea of a narrator, but at the same time, I also feel like some narrators take away from the movie something that you could be experiencing and will leave it all up into interpretation. Well, with little to no room for misinterpretation. Rather than just going like, oh yeah, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. This is what happened. This is how it's going. This is how it should be going. And this is how it is. And, all that other stuff. I mean, if I were to put in a narrator, I'd probably be more like a joke narrator, kind of like how the Stanley Parable did it. Which, Stanley Parable is a fantastic game. If you haven't played it, go play it. They also got the deluxe version out right now, too, so... And the deluxe version is also a lot of fun to play. It's a lot of fun to tick that narrator off, or even just pick up the bucket. But you'll know what I mean when you play it. Alrighty then. So, enough about that. Am I streaming that up? Oh, well, no, it's at 1440p. Never mind. Never mind. Oh. Sorry about that. also, one thing I also probably should do too, for the room, is for the door transitions. Actually, tell you the truth, I should probably also do this too. I forget to do this, but... Oh, wait, no, never mind. No, I didn't. Excuse me. There's a reason why I'm doing this, so I don't have to copy and paste this stuff over and over and over again. Not that I really need to, but... Okay, so commands ampersand key. There we go. And then make it so that when you're over a door, you press up, you enter the room. So if... Oh, wait. Actually, first of all, we're just going to go... Trans direction equals 4. So we'll just call that 5. Actually, we'll just copy and paste this over here, and we'll do the adjustments a little bit. Ah, you piece of... I hate that. I hate when I do that. Every single time. Every single time. Actually, it gets worse when I try to do the Control-V thing, because then, of course, I end up pressing Control-C, and it ends up copying the full line. I mean, at least it copies a full line when it doesn't know when to copy, but, you know, at the same time, it's not exactly thrilling when it happens. So anyway, I'm just going to go if key dot up. Well, actually, first we need to do key. Actually, no. Key dot action. Should we just do action cool 0 in this one? Actually, I don't think that would work. We'll avoid action cool. We'll just stick it with the trans cool. Transition cooldown equals 0. Then, of course, actually, it would be this one right here. Well, except for load active will actually be set to false. There we go. And then... Actually, I'm going to set transcool to be a little bit longer than 50. I'll give it a second, because I don't want the player just to go like, boom, 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 in, out, you know? Number 1, that would cause epileptic seizures. Number 2, well, I don't think I want to really say anything about number 2. It's just irritating when it happens. Oh, yeah, and it's a dice roll of whatever you land on, too. I mean, you get what you get, and you don't get to throw a fit, right? So, anyway. Okay, and that's the case. We're just going to copy this over as well. Control-C, Control-V. Ah! There we go. Also, one thing I have been seeing is reviews for Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out, too. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. To tell you the truth, when I saw the trailer for it, the one trailer that they released for it anyway, DreamWorks has done a terrible job marketing it. I wasn't really necessarily all that impressed. I was very conflicted, and I didn't necessarily feel like this movie was necessary. Because with a lot of people out there, I'm kind of in agreement with them that Kung Fu Panda 3 was probably the definitive end for Po. And unfortunately, by these reviews, I feel like this is right. Like, that was the best choice that they could have ended on, was number 3. It was a fine trilogy. Like, Toy Story 4, like, why do you need to add that on there, really? Toy Story 3 was a really good ending. It was a fantastic ending to a series. Why do they need to break it and go like, oh yeah, Woody needs to break away from the gang? It just doesn't make much sense. Especially with the fact that, you know, Woody is supposed to be this kind, caring, gentle character who looks out for his kid, who will always try to be there for his kid whenever he or she needs it, you know? and turning him into a more self-obsessed person who is obsessed with Bo Peep. And I mean, granted, I get it that the relationship between him and Bo Peep in the first two movies, anyway, were actually pretty good. And I love the fact that they nodded to the fact that something happened to Bo Peep along the way, and Woody didn't feel the same about everything. But he still managed to keep a lot of his own relevant character all together. And I think that was actually pretty nice. Though, like I said, with number 4, it's like, yeah, they ruined a lot. And tell you the truth, there's like a video series, like quite literally, there's a YouTuber who did like, I forgot how many videos. He did like 5 or 6 videos, and most of them are like an hour long. The majority of them are. And he picks apart everything inside the movie. Everything that doesn't make sense. Everything that doesn't work. Everything that kind of feels like it was kind of feels like it was like, He even goes so far to mention the assassination of most of the characters inside that movie anyway. Not just Woody, but Buzz Lightyear, Rex, Jesse. Like, every character just gets assassinated inside that movie, and it's like, oh man. Why did they make a 4th one? I don't know. Why are they planning to make a Cars 4? I feel like the trilogy also ended there too, definitively. Cars 3 was like, actually, surprisingly, really, really good. Sure, Cars 1 is mediocre, okay? I mean, it's not like spectacular or anything. It is watchable, but I do enjoy it. And
Just remember you said you were going to get firewood.
oh yeah, that's right.
Okay. We're going to go pick up Kristen now.
Okay. Well, okay, I'm gonna stick you guys with an intermission real quick, like. Because apparently I got remembered to go get firewood. But anyway, I'll finish up what I was trying to say here. Anyway, Cars 3 was actually pretty well made, okay? I mean, it could have been better, but you know what? I'd say it's probably the best Cars movie outside of Cars 1. Because, you know what? I kind of like some of the statements that were made inside that movie, where Lightning McQueen says that he's not a brand, and it's like, man, it feels like Pixar is finally remembering that they're not in it to make toys, they're in it to make movies, they're in it to make art, they're in it to make impressions. Unlike now these days, where it feels like they are here to sell toys, they are here to make they are here to do the bare minimum. Especially with the fact that Disney has just completely and totally taken over. I mean, Lightyear was just terrible. Ugh. Don't even want to begin with how bad that movie was. Then, of course, you know, there's Soul, which actually wasn't that bad. Actually, I'd say it's kind of a Pixar classic that isn't too much of a Pixar classic. It's good, especially in some points. But honestly, there are some moments where I feel like there's a little bit of a problem with the movie where it could have where it feels like it drags on just a little bit too much in certain areas. But also, another thing that I would also like to say, Luca was also enjoyable too. I mean, I didn't mind that. Turning Red, never bothered to watch. Heard there was a lot of mediocre reviews about it. And then, of course, also, I didn't bother to go see Elemental because by that point, I was done with Disney. Only because of the fact, not because I didn't care about Disney, it's because I do care, and I want to see him do better. But at the same time, I'm getting sick and tired of all the stuff that Disney has been trying to shovel down our throats for the longest time. And really, that's kind of the reason why the majority of their movies for the past year have completely and totally bombed. I mean, there's like only one movie that really kind of gave me a little bit of hope, and that was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Because I heard some good things about that movie, and honestly, I'm like, I was originally just going to entirely pass that up, like, not even acknowledge it whatsoever. But honestly, I think it's like, check it out when it comes out on DVD. Yeah, that's quite literally how low I was stooping when it comes down to Disney. Like, I'm sorry. The House of Mouse is just not doing very well. And unfortunately, if they're going to keep going down the route that they're going down, like Moana 2, I mean, I'm not a big fan of that idea. I think it would make a great TV series, but I don't think it would make a good movie. I mean, where they were going out, exploring, finding new lands, meeting new people, trying to become friends with these people, doing things to impress these people, or trying to get out of sticky situations from these people, I think that would make an excellent TV series. And honestly, the ideas with something like that would be limitless. But instead, they're making a second movie, and I'm like, yeah, why limit all that to just one movie? It's like Rihanna and The Last Dragon. Honestly, the ensemble cast, sure, liked it, but honestly, would have been much better if they would have had more time to develop it. I mean, even including especially with the fact that they were also hammering in that message of trust way too much. I will admit they did do that a little bit they did that way too much, actually, in that movie. Granted, I don't mind that message of trust thing, but honestly, let it sink in. Don't just remind us, hey, you need to trust people. Hey, you need to trust people every 5 seconds. Just let it sink. Just go like, well, maybe you could have done this instead. You need to show a little bit more sensitive side to this. Sure, I get it. Not everybody's going to be able to be fixed, but, just consider, something like that. Something that's like food for thought. Something that makes you think. Something that makes you process, Okay. And, of course, okay, Encanto, I will admit, was actually pretty good. To be fair, I actually liked Encanto. But at the same time, I do think there are a few problems with the movie that I do have. Like, for example, the girl who can absolutely hear miles and miles away. Like, why on earth does she not know that Bruno's hiding within their walls? Like, how on earth does she, of all people, not know how Bruno is not hiding in their walls? I mean, it doesn't make much sense. I know they don't talk about Bruno, but, which, by the way, that is actually a fantastic song. Best song of the whole frickin' movie right there. Though, granted, some of the memes that came from it is absolutely hilarious. Actually, I think my favorite one happened to be, we don't talk about the platypus controlling me. But anyway, yeah, this is like a quick review of any recent Disney movies. Oh yeah, Frozen 2. I liked Frozen 1. I really did enjoy Frozen 1 a lot. But Frozen 2 was a mess. I didn't realize this until the second time I watched it in theaters. I watched it the first time and I went like, okay, yeah, this is on par with the first one. And then I watched it a second time and I'm like, wait, there's some cracks that are showing. Oh yeah, and then Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. For some reason, I can't stand to watch that movie for some reason. I don't know. There's just something about this movie that just doesn't tickle me right. Just doesn't hit it with me right, And granted, well, it's okay as a film. It's just like there's a lot of regression there. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of issues. And it feels like it was just unnecessary. It doesn't need to exist. Actually, that's kind of how I feel like most of these Disney sequels are becoming. It's like, it didn't need to exist. Same thing goes with Kung Fu Panda 4. And unfortunately, with how bad Megamind 2 was, yeah, I would say that sequel didn't need to exist either. Oh, yeah, and then, Megamind and the Doom Syndicate anyway. A lot of people refer to Megamind 2 as Megamind and the Button of Doom. Which, actually, that is a good short. But, like, Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate? Come on, guys. That was dumb. It really does ruin some of the interesting parts about the original Megamind universe. And also, one thing I would also say, I do kind of wish that they would have kept Megamind a little more in character too. I mean, granted, I understand how Megamind would act if he was inside a more modern day world with cell phones and such and social media, where he would be trying to boost social stats and trying to boost his own social media outlook. Because, he does have that bit of the inflated ego type of thing, but he isn't entirely egocentric. But, and it also kind of plays into his whole presentation thing, but the way they do it is so stupid. It's so dumb. It just doesn't work. And, like I said, DreamWorks is on a wild ride. Disney, I don't even know what's going on with them anymore. I just don't care about their projects anymore or their products. And honestly, I wish they would do better. DreamWorks, I mean, granted, I do wish they would have some more substantial quality control because, you know, you have Trolls 3, which was an alright movie from what I heard, but it's not the best movie out there. Ruby Gilbin, didn't hear too much about, and even though I was actually more interested in it because actually I kind of wanted to see that movie because of how well Puss in Boots 2 was, but at the same time, maybe I guess it was a good thing I stayed out of theaters for that one. And oh, okay, and Bad Guys. I better not forget about Bad Guys too. I liked Bad Guys, okay? The Bad Guys was a fantastic movie. Actually, I think DreamWorks does a really good job with these these people who are played a bad hand in life and this whole nurture versus nature type of thing. Where, you know, Shrek is a good guy by nature, but he's been nurtured to hate people because people hated him. Or for the bad guy, for Megamind, he was a good guy, but technically he was nurtured to hate other people because other people who were rejected by society, usually tried to do crime and all that other stuff, nurtured him into doing crime. And when he tried to do some good stuff and try to be good, it always ended up blowing up inside his face. So he braced his bad side and became the bad boy. Something that he didn't necessarily like. Also, Metro Man didn't like it either, because Metro Man didn't feel like it was inflating his ego very well, which is the reason why he copped out. Spoilers. But that's the thing. Like, that's the thing that made that movie so memorable. And then the Bad Guys, it's like, yeah, I mean, these guys aren't necessarily bad people, but at the same time, society has treated them so badly, they can't see themselves doing anything else. And you know what? I kind of like these redemption stories, you know? I kind of like it when they turn it around. Tell you the truth, though, I actually would like to see Wild Robot. And tell you the truth, actually, I really hope that even if it is an environmental message, it's not like an in-your-face type of environmental message going like, oh, we need to protect the environment. We need to protect the environment. We need to protect the environment. No, it's like just something where they let it sink in. Where they let the beauty and the wildness of nature just be shown on the screen. And how beautiful nature truly can be. And what nature can be really like. You know? I mean, I really do hope they do that. So, anyway. Oh, look, I got another viewer, and I'm just sitting here talking about movies. I know, I really shouldn't be, but, you know, at the same time, it's like I was just talking about Kung Fu Panda 4, and then I rolled into this. I tangent a lot. But anyway, there is one thing I do need to do, though. My mom just popped in sometime in the middle of that conversation, and I do have to go get some firewood. So I'm going to leave you guys into an intermission at the current moment. But I'll be back here in just a few moments. So, okay, give me a moment. Alright, I'm back. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway. Okay, actually, to tell you the truth, I really do need to turn on some background music, shouldn't I? Make things a little more interesting, right? I know this list has got some copyrighted stuff inside of it, but, you know. Anyway. What was I doing? I know I was ranting about movies before I did this, but now I need to remember what I was doing. Oh, yes! The transitions! I gotta make sure those work. Ugh. Sorry, I got an itchy nose. Ah! So anyway. Man, I really do need to get working, because like I said, I only have a week. And daylight savings time is right around the corner. Okay. This is just basically a small test right now. To see if this works. Basically. My lips are kind of chapped. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, what I need to do is I need to switch this over to Area 2, and then Area 1. There we go. So here we go. This is just a simple zone transfer. It really isn't supposed to do anything else. Also, I still got a week to program in enemy AI, the NPCs. I also got to add in the story. I also got to finish up the boy and girl models. I got a lot to do within a week. Oh my gosh. I feel like I've put off too much. Wait. Now YouTube will barely load. Yeah, I think partial lines is one, so. But I figured I'd check it out. I also do need to tie that to the story, too. Failed to load image. Uh-oh. Well, that's not good. Okay, now I think I'm falling forever and ever into a dark pit. So, it is doing what it's supposed to do, but it isn't doing what it needs to do. Oh wait, that's right, It makes sense now. I just don't have it properly inputted where it makes a decision on the direction. Which basically means that I would have to redesign the entire load zone trigger. But that's fine. I know I can do that. Now, why am I not doing that and scratching my head? I have no idea. And it's like my brain is giving me the solution. I'm just not typing it down. Why the heck? Okay, so basically what I need to do is I need to get rid of this. And we're gonna go... Switch. Well, actually, no, we need... If area 1 dot area active switch area 1. Good grief. Dot trans direction. Default, do nothing. Case 1. Case 2. Case 3. Case 4. Okay, and then we're just going to copy and paste this. But instead of calling it Area 1, this will be Area 2. And now, I just need to put in the zone checkers into this, and... Probably would be better if I did that in a separate void, wouldn't it? Or at least it would save me headaches. But at the same time, I would still have to copy it over, no matter which way I look at it, so it's not going to make much difference, would it? Shoot. Well... Figured it'd be worth a shot. have a week left and I'm playing solitaire. This is totally not right. I know that it's supposed to be a suggestion rather than a set standard. And I know there's also a super MVM. But, you know, at the same time, I mean, I can't really necessarily go around help but feeling this feels kind of wrong in all the right ways. Like, honestly, I really shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing something different. I should be working on my game. I should be getting that game out and polished and finished. But yet, I'm nowhere near that. I'm gonna be lucky if I have anything to submit at all. Ugh. I hate myself. I am allowed to hate myself. I am legally allowed to hate myself, okay? If anybody else tells you differently, that they're just lying to you and they want to sell you something. But, you know, I just hate myself right now, and I am legally allowed to hate myself. Because I am not a perfect person by no means. And honestly, I think this game is scratched. I think I should have moved that other jack instead of... Yeah, no, I'm going to move that other jack instead of just... Because apparently as useful as having that diamond was revealed, wasn't nearly as good as having that 2 revealed. Though, that means that that 2 is still going to be sitting there for a little bit. But hey, look, at least I can move this red 5. I also got a black 4 in here too, which I can also use to move that black 3. That's not going to work very well for me either, is it? Now I'm more focused into the... That worked, somehow. I am allowed to relax. Laughing by... Okay, I have taken so many days off, I've completely given up and come back to it and worked on something different. Well, fair enough. I don't know why I feel obliged that I need to get this done. I mean, just something in me just doesn't sit right if I don't. But at the same time, I feel like that's just something that my dad has instilled in me. Because, you know, he's kind of a neat freak. Wow. For that project, it turned to help better after every failure, unironically. Really? Huh. Well, I guess you do need to fail. Because if you don't fail, well, you never learn. You never grow, you never become a better person, and you never get to experience some of the good things that life has to offer, you know? That's kind of the truth of the matter. Something a lot of people usually tend to take for granted. Which, you know, is kind of sad to say, but... it's life. What are you gonna do about it? And then again, I've also kind of had a long and exhausting week. Though, granted, I feel the same way. There's no point in beating yourself up. Just accept you feel bad and don't fault yourself for it. You worked on something different to clear your head. Come back to it later. Repeat for success. Fair enough. And you know, I shouldn't beat up myself for this. I still do, in some way. I really wish I had more control over that. But, you know. I don't know, maybe it's just something inside me. I don't know. I mean, I really wish that I was more of like that focused, determined person that I kind of want to be. Rather than being a person who is usually out there most of the time and usually doesn't have any kind of focus or any kind of discipline in focus whatsoever. But in this case, I think that's kind of like how I've been set up and trained to think most of my life. ADHD is a... You can finish that sentence for me. But the real truth is that I usually tend to beat myself up for no real reason whatsoever. And honestly, I shouldn't do that. It's not right. It's not healthy. It's not good for me. Just take time. Saying it's easy devalues the effort that you put in to take care of yourself. If it was easy, everyone would be perfect. You build focus by doing. More people are stupid. Sorry to say it. Understandable? They focus on only being good at one thing. But you're here making every part of your game solo. I know. There's just a lot of people who are kind of impressed with the fact that I just multitask with this. I mean, my dad tells me that, hey, look, we don't do very well doing solo, but, you know, just like me, yep. And, you know, I mean, it's kind of the reason why sometimes you feel a little bit burnt out. If solo games were able to come out sooner, well, I don't know. We'd probably end up with more glitchy, buggy proof of concepts more than rather finished games, you know? Because, I mean, okay, let's take, for example, Stardew Valley, a game that I've been playing frequently with my mom, might I add. Tell you the truth, that game was developed by one person, if I remember correctly, and it took him, like, how many years to do it? Like, and, you know, he primarily did it because he didn't really want to get a job, primarily, because, you know, I don't trust anyone with my vision, for better or for worse. Play your solitaire, whatever brings you peace. Yeah, look at Cave Story. Yeah, that's another one, too. Never knew he did it alone? I knew. I knew it right away. It was a very impressive game, I'm not gonna lie. Actually, it's still impressive, even looking back at it today. Especially with the fact that the guy did it by himself. And he only took the game back and rebuilt it because of a suggestion by a friend. Which, by the way, that part of the story was a shocker to me, actually. Was that he actually had a whole other subset of systems all planned out, but he decided to take it back because one of his friends said it wouldn't work, it wouldn't be that fun of a game. And, you know, Stardew Valley also was done by Concerned Ape by himself. He basically started the game by scratch and, well, worked on it. Taking very little feedback from some of the players until, well, after it came out, which then, of course, he did quite a few updates. Right now it's on 1.5 and is about to get a 1.6 update. I'm actually kind of excited for that one. Though my mom isn't, because I'm telling her, hey, we're probably going to have to restart our farm when we do so. She's not thrilled about it. Well, granted, I'll probably still pick the forest, because actually that one's my favorite. Why? Number one, I like the forest. Number two, actually, it's got one of the best... It's got, like, not only really good forageables, which is useful for the community center, but it's also got one of the best fishing spots for being useful for this community center. You actually don't need to have, like, the silver axe in order to get through the log. Not that you really needed the silver axe to get through the log anyway. You could just sit in a chair. But, well, especially after the 1.5 update. But I don't know if he's going to patch that one or not. But the truth is that, actually, that fishing spot, you could get the wood skip almost right away. Yeah. Like, it's amazing. Usually, if I get the wood skip from that fishing spot after I get the fishing pole, I immediately throw that inside the chest. It's like, nope, you're going right here. You're staying. You're not going anywhere, wood skip. You're going to be used for the community center. But, you know, I do find it pleasing aesthetically. And like I said, it's also even kind of impressive that he's also doing this update while working on another game. Like, that's the part that really impresses me. Like, honestly, he's doing the Haunted Chocolatier, which, by the way, is a game that I'm also very excited for, too. I mean, I love chocolate. And you know what? It may sound kind of weird, considering that I'm a little bit of a chicken when it comes down to horror games, but I do like the paranormal. It's actually kind of fun. Actually, to tell you the truth, I have mentioned this on my channel before. I've always wanted to become a professional Ghostbuster. Look, when it comes down to Ghostbusters, the video game, that's the closest I'm ever going to live that dream, okay? Like, by far, the closest. Like, really. And in case you're wondering, yes, I am very excited to see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. It's going to be a birthday movie for both me and my older sister. In case you're wondering, yes, the both of us are Ghostbusters fans. Yes, we're both born inside the same month. Yes, our birthdays are 3 days apart. Also, another thing I would also like to mention too, she was born in like 1992, and I was born in 1996. So, take that as you will. But, yes, it's kind of funny that our birthdays aren't really all that far apart. I mean, but then again, I shouldn't question the coincidence of this, because my mom is at the beginning of December, and my dad is at the end of December, so... And then there's my sister. Somewhere in the middle of summer. Just somewhere in the middle of summer. Yeah, I mean, who else would find that kind of weird, huh? But yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising to figure out that there's some games that a lot of people have done alone. Actually, Choo Choo Charles, that's another game that was also done by just one developer, wasn't it? Or, well, by one guy, wasn't it? Or did he have some help? I forget. I mean, I know he paid voice actors, but, you know. Because, you know, come on. There's always so many limits to a voice. Because even if a guy could do a girl's voice, it doesn't necessarily mean that they could do all kinds of ranges in a girl's voice. Yeah, I remember watching the devlogs for that game. I do too. They were actually kind of fun to watch. The way he's experimenting around with the AI and such, it was a lot of fun. I think this game is scratched. Yeah, no, this game is scratched. I don't think I'm going to be able to win this one. And I still restarted it anyway, because I'm an absolute madman. Though, I will openly admit to one thing. I actually have been playing the Arkham Asylum trilogy. Actually, Arkham Asylum itself, I mean, I can understand why it got all the praise it did when it first came out. Like, it's really good. Arkham City... actually, I think it's really good. I think it's alright too, but honestly, I can't see myself 100%ing it like I did with Arkham Asylum. And yes, I did 100%. Well, okay, there's still the challenges I still need to do, but I'm close to 100%ing Arkham Asylum. If you can believe that. Though I have not played Arkham Knight yet, but I have heard some really good things about that game too. Actually, truth be told, with Arkham Knight, oh wait, yeah, okay, I can do that. With Arkham Knight, though, actually, I am kind of actually excited to see that and play that one, because the maneuverability, I mean, okay, give me a second here, I gotta, the movement mechanics look like a lot of fun, like, seriously. But then again, I'm also kind of having fun with the movement mechanics in Arkham City as well. So, honestly, I think that Arkham Knight is probably going to be like a fest of fun when it comes down to it. I'm turning this into a solitaire stream, aren't I? Anyway, but you know, that's kind of the thing. It's like, man, those games were just a lot of fun. And to tell you the truth, I actually enjoyed myself while playing them. Though, granted, like I said, Arkham City just wasn't as strong as Arkham Asylum, though. I mean, I think Arkham Asylum had a little more weight to the combat that made it feel good. But at the same time, Arkham City also had quite a few good movement mechanics as well. Red 6. I need a red 5. Oh, shoot. Do I got a black 6 in here? I think I used up my only black 6 in here. Ah, I think the game is screwed again. Ah! Wait. Oh, wait. No, never mind. I don't need a black 6. I just need a black 5. Which I have right there. And then, of course, I can just use... Yeah, no, I think this game is screwed every way, huh? What? Yes, I am live streaming Solitaire.
Okay, have fun.
Although I really shouldn't be. Should be live streaming game development.
Of course, have fun.
Anyway. But, you know. Sarah was my older sister was curious. You know, the one that had the birthday like 3 days away from me. I know that she's older than me, but you know what? I get to celebrate my birthday first, so yeah. I just got the last laugh with that one, didn't I? But yeah, like I said, I actually did finish the main story campaign for Arkham City. And honestly, actually, I thought the story was actually pretty good in that one, I'm not gonna lie. Wasn't as strong and well-written as Arkham Asylum, but, you know, still pretty good nonetheless. So, I wonder how Arkham City's gonna be like for me, considering that one's gonna be the full open-world version of the game. Though, to be fair, there's still some things that I need to get finished with Arkham City as well. And, oh yes, I'm pretty sure some people are probably going to be curious, so I'm going to answer everybody right now. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to diss me for this, but I got the Switch versions of the game. I know, some people are going to be like, hey, John, you got the inferior version. Alright, fine. I got the inferior version. So what? Sue me. I like my Nintendo Switch, okay? I'm not going to compromise and buy a PlayStation 5. Even if I kind of drooled over one for a little bit, back when it was rare. That was back when it was rare, and Ratchet and Clank wasn't on PC. Or Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart wasn't on PC. Even though, to be fair, I've also heard some negative things from Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart as well. The game itself is alright, but honestly, some elements of the game are just kind of annoying. Which is kind of upsetting, because actually I played Ratchet and Clank for the PlayStation 2. And yes, I do have a PlayStation 2. Played the entirety of the Sly Cooper trilogy, by the way. Really good set of games. Actually, to tell you the truth, I would be more considerate of buying a PlayStation 5 right now if they were to do a PlayStation 5 exclusive Sly Cooper game. But you know, everybody knows, like me, that there's only one company that could really push out a game like that. Or will really put a work order in for a game like that. Because they own the rights to the IP. Tell you the truth, actually, I bought the games only because of the fact that the movie was coming out, and I was curious. But now that the movie hasn't came out, years later, has been canceled, turned into a TV show, and then got canceled again, it's kind of upsetting to think that we're probably never going to get another Sly Cooper game ever again. Not unless Sony decides to go third party, which is a plausibility because the PlayStation 5 isn't doing so well. Neither is the Xbox Series X or S. And I know there's going to be some people who are going to be like, John, what are you talking about? The PlayStation 5 is an excellent console. The Xbox Series X is a fantastic console. The S is kind of, well, you know, but it's still, they're fantastic consoles. Fine. They're fantastic consoles. Whatever you say. But here's the thing. I don't see very many exclusives for them. Not too many people are interested in developing for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox hardware. Because, for that newer Xbox hardware. Because every time I see a game gets announced, whether it be by a third-party company or by the first-party company itself, either it's going to be accompanied by a PC port, or it has the Xbox Series X and S logo, followed by the Xbox One logo. And the PlayStation 5 logo, followed by the PlayStation 4 logo. Oh yeah, and then the Nintendo Switch logo as well. So, you're telling me that I should go out and spend $500 for a console that has games that I can already get on, like, my PC or my Nintendo Switch? You're really going to tell me that? And, of course, you're telling me to go waste $500 for a console that has how many exclusives again? Oh yeah, the same amount of exclusives that you can count on one hand. And you know what? I can even search it up right now and show you. Okay. PS5 exclusives. PlayStation 5 only games, Wikipedia. Oh my gosh, the fact that it just fits on this screen without having to scroll down is just astounding. Wow. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, at least you don't have to take one hand to count. You don't have to have both hands in order to count it. That's a good thing. But still, that's embarrassing compared to something like this. What the heck are you doing, Sony? What the fridge is going on here? Why does it look like this has a longer list of games that are much more fun to play and are far more memorable and have better... and actually happen to have better titles to them? Well, except for this one. And most of them having memorable characters to them than this. Okay, and some of these aren't... Well... Huh. There are some that I don't think are necessarily first party here or exclusive, but still. It's kind of impressive with how many exclusives here there are for the Nintendo Switch. Like, some of them aren't even out yet, but, you know, still. This is, like, pathetic. Oh, yeah, and then let's check out Xbox... Okay, so wait a second. What? Xbox One only games. How about, let's try... Xbox Series X exclusives.
Wow, I can't even find a Wikipedia article on that one.
But this is embarrassing! What the heck? Why is this a thing? Like, what reason is there to go out and buy a PlayStation 5? Like, I see no reason here. I mean, really, there's no games here that really sell me either. Horizon Call of the Mountain? Never heard of it. God of War? Okay, I have heard of that one, but... Well, actually, wait, no. God of War isn't even on here, is it? Oh, my. So, that isn't a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Oh, my. Spider-Man 2. I've heard some very mediocre things. I've heard a lot of mixed things about that one. There are good things, there are bad things. But personally, I hear that some elements of the game just aren't really necessarily worth buying the game for, so yeah, it's not really a big seller for me. Silent Hill, I've heard of the franchise, but I don't know if I really want to necessarily try it out. And I bet you this is more like a playable teaser or a playable demo like PT was. Quantum Error? Never heard of it. Rise of Ruin? Never heard of it. Destruction All-Stars? Never heard of it. Like seriously, what the heck here would make me want to buy a PlayStation 5? That just makes no sense. It just makes no sense whatsoever. There is no reason to buy a PlayStation 5 because they have no exclusives. But then again, that's the reason why a lot of people have also said that this current console generation is the generation of nothing. They have not pushed out any games that have really pushed the PlayStation 5's hardware to its absolute limits. There is nothing that has made me seem that makes me visually impressed. I mean, sure, instant world loading? Sure. It's impressive. But didn't that type of technology exist back in the 1990s as well? No, seriously, the Nintendo Switch. I mean, the Nintendo 64 allowed for instant world loading. In fact, when you think about it, the Nintendo 64, because most of the hardware was on the cartridge, and the console was more of a communication to that hardware on the cartridge, loading wasn't that big of an issue. In fact, it was rather quick. It was rather simple. It was rather easy. Of course, I know that there were some other issues too, but, you know. And also, it had an expansion pack, which made loading a lot quicker too. But at the same time, the real truth is that basically most of the stuff existed way back when. And it didn't even need to use SSDs. It just used fancy coding tricks, like this game right here. Like this little project that I have right here, where I managed to get the transitions to load in and work like it should. So, you know, it's kind of embarrassing to say that, oh, yeah, the... Sorry. Kind of got on a tangent there, but, you know, truth be told, it's kind of upsetting to think that there's a lot of people out there who would rather shell for a console that doesn't really necessarily have games on it, and doesn't have any games that are very impressive and don't do very much, and, you know, try to defend it even though there is no real reason to defend it. Like, honestly, I would still defend the Nintendo Switch to the moon and back. Why? Because it's proved its worth. It's proved its weight. I mean, heck, even if some games are a bit more limited on this one than it is on the PlayStation 5, the Xbox, or the PC, really, I'm just kind of happy to have the game. I like the game as it is, and I'd rather have a game that's playable and look like dog shit than have a game that looks astoundingly beautiful, but is just barely past the precipice of playable, you know? Actually, you know, that's also another thing, too, I would also put up for the Nintendo Switch as an argument as well. That, you know, a lot of people tend to not think about, actually. That,
some games on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series S sometimes can also look worse. Actually, tell you the truth, I remember watching a comparison video in between Batman, Arkham Asylum Revisited, or Return to Arkham Asylum, which is, I think they called it for the PlayStation 5, the remake, versus the Switch version of Arkham Asylum, which, by the way, a lot of people say is just a port of the PlayStation 3 version. A lot of people are saying that it would be a more fair comparison to compare it to the PlayStation 3 versus the Nintendo Switch. And granted, I'm probably not going to argue that too much, but at the same time, there's something here that I want to point out. The PlayStation 5 version looks like, to me, like somebody turned up the color scaling on your TV and then proceeded... Oh, yeah, and also turned up the saturation. Okay, actually, no, that's what I meant to say. They turned up the saturation and the brightness on your TV screen and then proceeded to pee all over it. Yeah, like, there's a lot of yellow that takes away from the game. The dark, moody blues are just gone, and all the colors are too bright and vibrant, they pop too much. Where Arkham Asylum on the Nintendo Switch, at least it has a style that it's going for. And you know what? It's dark, it's moody, it fits Batman to a T. I mean, like, come on. If you're gonna say that Arkham Asylum for the PlayStation 5 looks better than the Nintendo Switch, especially with the fact that the Nintendo Switch had a pre-rendered cutscenes, and then the PlayStation 5 is doing it all in real time, I'm still not impressed. Actually, if anything, I'd say it still makes the game look better because the pre-rendered cutscenes still end up looking better than the real-time cutscenes from the PlayStation 5. Actually, if anything, it really makes the argument about why these pre-rendered cutscenes are still important to video games. Not to mention, also, there's nothing wrong with having a loading screen either. Like, honestly, to be fair, like Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, when that game launched, it didn't have a loading screen at all, and whenever the game loaded, it always stopped to load everything. But then, of course, this also kind of makes me worried about the fact that, you know, these guys are more worried about visual fidelity more than anything, instead of just trying to pick a style and going with it. They're trying to make it look nice with the ray tracing and trying to make it look absolutely realistic as possible, when really they're forgetting that, honestly, that doesn't make the game better. It really doesn't. Actually, if anything, it kind of makes it worse. Because, you know, oh, I can compliment the visuals as much as I possibly can, but the gameplay's like absolute garbage. But yeah, that's okay, I'll forgive it because it looks all so good. I don't like that. I don't like it, especially when people try to defend that too. And you know, this is kind of the thing too. More hardware is better? Not really. Not at all. Look, I mean, Batman Arkham Knight requires really, really low settings. I mean, it really has a low cap for what its for its recommended settings, for recommended PC settings, okay? Or, well, minimum recommended PC settings anyway. And, you know, you have Let's Kill the Suicide Squad, or you know what, let's also do another game, too. Let's bring another game into the mix as well. Let's bring in 2 more games into the mix as well. The quadruple A flop, Skull and Crossbones, versus Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Which, by the way, actually, I kind of want to buy Black Flag after seeing how bad Skull and Crossbones really was. Considering that's a game that was inspired by Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and also made by the same company. Different teams, but same company. Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox. Xbox 360 anyway. Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out on the Xbox and the PlayStation 3. Or if I remember correctly. I gotta check this. I also know they did a Switch port for it too, but I gotta check this out. Okay. Assassin's Creed, Odyssey, Unity, Origins. Let's just go Black Flag. Okay, there we go. Assassin's Creed Black Flag was released in October 2000. 2023. Okay, so dang it. It was released on the PlayStation 4. Oh no, it still was released on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 still. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I take everything back. It was also released on the Wii U too. I mean, I don't think it ran as well as on the Wii U, but it still probably looked very impressive for the time on that console as well. Like, I'm not gonna lie about this. If that looks better on the Wii U than, like, Skull and Crossbones does on a modern day PC with the best possible graphics card you could afford right now, which is the RTX 4090. I think they have a TI version out right now, but I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that. And with, like, the best CPU you could get, yeah. I played hundreds of hours on the Wii U. It was good. Oh, yeah. Actually, tell you the truth, I still have my Wii U. Actually, I have the game pack right up here. And granted, before the Wii U eShop shut down, I decided to buy a few games too. But honestly, I feel like homebrewing this thing, since Nintendo no longer is looking after this console, because they're pulling the plug for all online launch services. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if they've done that already. I forget when the deadline date was for that. And I know that the Wii U and the 3DS eShops are already shut down, so, you know, might as well just, turn this into a homebrew console, eh? That was weird. Anyway. But, you know, it's kind of impressive to think that that game also runs on the Wii U, which a lot of people criticize for being a slow console that was very terrible at processing graphics, even though actually a lot of games looked really fantastic on the Wii U. Like, honestly, Mario Party looked really good. Mario Kart 8 looked fantastic. Oh, actually, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was also on Wii U too, one of the last games released for it, and that game also looks really fantastic as well. But then again, that's probably credit to the Radeon that's in there, which, of course, you know, was a really fantastic, well, okay, that Radeon that's in there was a very fantastic graphics processing unit at the time. And probably still is today. It still probably would hold up against, like, some of these newer cards, but, you know, that's kind of the truth. Again, these games came out, but this game came out in 2013 and was doing things on consoles that it really shouldn't have been doing. Oh yeah, and I also believe they also released this for the Nintendo Switch too, if I remember correctly. But again, and then you got Skull and Crossbones, which requires, like, an RTX and, like, an RTX 2060, I think, but I'm not quite sure. Okay, you know what? Let's just do this. I got the Steam page open. I'll get the Steam page open for that one, and we're just gonna do SKU. Wow, you did that. Oh, it's just Skull and Bones. Never mind. I don't know why I decided to call it Crossbones or whatever. Let's see, do they have a Steam page for this? Do they have a Steam page? They have an Epic Store page for it. Ugh, Epic. I'm sorry, but no, I refuse to endorse in the Epic Store. They don't have a Steam page for this? Really? Well, maybe we should see... Okay, fine, I'm gonna go to the Epic page. Not that I really like this. Okay. Oh, yeah, enter my birthday. Yeah, right. I was born on the 15th of March. And not on 2024, but on... Why is everything highlighted in this? Okay. 1937. That's way too far back. I need 1996. There we go. Okay, so we're going to do some comparisons. Oh, good grief. I have to do this again? Okay, fine. March 15th. I'm pretty sure you're realizing what day I was born. 1996. I'm in the 1980s, 1992, 1994, 1995, 1996. Actually, I think I prefer the Steam version of this. Okay, there we go. No, I don't want to see any of these things. I just want to see what the requirements are. Thank you. Okay, so, here we go. Comparing minimum requirements between these two games. The system requirements for Black Flag is an Intel Core 2 Quad Q8400 at 2.6 gigahertz, or an AMD Athlon 2 at 620 at 2.6 gigahertz, with 2 gigabytes of RAM and a NVIDIA GeForce 260. My 720 could run this game! And by the way, yes, I do actually have a 720. It's no longer in this PC because I got a 1650 inside there, which is much better than that little 720. But my 720 could run this game when it had 720 inside of it. And then, of course, you take a look at Skull and Crossbones. What's the minimum requirements for this? Intel i7 4790. Actually, that CPU is just like a step above the CPU I currently got inside this PC right now. 8 gigabytes of dual-channel memory versus 2. And an NVIDIA GTX 1660. Okay, well, that isn't so bad, but still. What the heck, NVIDIA? I mean, what the heck? See what I mean? This is like proving that more hardware doesn't mean better. And I mean, granted, I know this one's a live service game, which is probably part of the reason why it's not on Steam yet, but, you know, still, those specs are ridiculous compared to what Assassin's Creed Black Flag was able to do on much, much, much less. Like, honestly, this Black Flag was able to run on a dual-core processor, while Skull and Crossbones calls for a processor with more than 4 cores. It's insane. This is just not right. Who the heck designed this? Why is this like this? Oh yeah, if you want me to hear the compare the recommended, well then basically it's the Core i5, which actually is weaker than the i7 that I still have in here, so basically my computer still falls within this recommended limit. 4 gigabytes of RAM still falls within the recommended limit. A GTX 47, which unfortunately my GT 720 probably wouldn't be able to keep up with. And, okay, supported video cards at the time of release, NVIDIA GTX 260, and the GTX 400, 500, 600, 700. Okay, then. But still. And then, of course, you go over here to Skull and Crossbones, Intel i7 87K. That is a bit much. 16 gigabytes of dual-channel memory. What the fudge? And an RTX 2070? Considering that they're rendering facial animations that are just deadpan stares that really don't do much besides sit there and blink and move their mouths whenever they need to talk, and of course all they do is just really, they're expressionless. They don't do anything. Meanwhile, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, they're like, oh yeah, you can see the anger on their face, or they can be as calm as they can. And you know, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, most of that was an in-engine too. Oh yeah, and you could also swim in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. You could also park your ship, leave, go on an island, explore that island, and then come back to your ship. Unlike Skull and Crossbones, where basically you literally have just a quick time event just to get materials off an island, which I must say is not very good. And you know, they want to claim this game as quadruple A. Captured from players on the Epic Game Store's ecosystem 4.1. What? How the heck does this get a 4.1. Some of these gamers have no taste, or at least the Epic Game Stores. Well, okay, you know what? Actually, I would say this in defense for these players on Epic Game Stores. They have no taste, because they're using Epic Game Store! Who the heck uses Epic? I mean, look, the only reason why I would use Epic as a publisher? Oh, on the Wii. Don't forget the Wii U. On the Wii, on the Wii U. Back when Ubisoft cared about optimization. On the Wii U. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like, seriously. Why on earth are some of these people arguing more hardware better? When really, these games aren't providing any better than what these games did years ago, back when they were better optimized and well aimed for our hardware that they were aiming it for, you know? I mean, that's kind of what I think I like about Nintendo, at least, because they have a hardware cap and they know what that hardware limit is, and that's why some of their games look some of the way they do on their console. I mean, granted, I know it's going to be kind of weird for some people to think about this, but you know what? Every console for Nintendo, usually the best looking games on that console usually happens to be Nintendo games. Usually, not all the time. There are still some games that have some really astounding visuals that were done third party. Actually, on the Wii U, I would definitely say Sonic Lost World is definitely a game that comes to mind, because that game still looks really fantastic. But, yes. Yes, I know. Okay. Okay. My dad had to interrupt me, thank you. But anyway, you know, the real truth is that basically no matter which way you look at it, it's like, why would these games just do the minimalistic thing and still require all this hardware? What the frick is it doing with all that hardware? Just sitting idle. I mean, part of it may be just because they're using pre-built engines. And okay, you know, I have a little bit of a running theory with pre-built engines. Reason why I'm building my own is because usually they're using a lot of the extra hardware and the extra telemetry for running some of the elements of that engine in the background, you know? Which, I believe, Unreal is just super bloated? Yes. I mean, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. It's super rare to see an Unreal game land under 1 gigabyte now these days. Like, yeah. Just 1 gigabyte. Unity usually tends to suffer from its own issues, which, of course, you know, it still runs telemetry in the background anyway. We all know about the whole, charging developers when somebody installs their game, you know? Ugh. At least Unity is lighter in weight, yeah, but it still had its problems, and it still has stuff that's running in the background, though. Because again, remember, that whole debacle with them charging developers for people installing their games, that's just dumb, okay? Shitty lighting and performance, that too. But then again, they've always kind of had that issue. Granted, don't get me wrong. I do think that there are some games that were done on the Unity engine that look absolutely amazing and run absolutely amazing, like Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Actually, I think Oddworld, I forget what it was. I know it was a series of games called Oddworld, and honestly, it's a fantastic series of games. I would recommend checking it out, but, I forget what it was. Still, no matter which way you look at it, the real problem is that sometimes they do have some extra telemetry running in the background, and honestly, some of it just seems a little bit unnecessary. And, you know, that's kind of the biggest problem right there. That's part of my running theory with engine problems right there. But another thing I would also have to say is that really, I do think that having more hardware also leads to sloppier code, because a lot of people are going like, well, this part is completely and totally unnecessary. It doesn't really necessarily add anything in our game, but we're not going to remove it anyway, because it's not going to matter. Most of this hardware is just like way up there. Like, there's so much hardware in computers now that a lot of people can just buy and use without realizing that most of this hardware is unobtainable for people like me. And there are a lot of people out there who are like me who barely make $12 an hour and barely make $100 a week. Yeah, or barely get to see $100 a week anyway. Yeah, it's kind of even lucky that I was able to get the RGTX 1650 into this bad boy. But to tell you the truth, I'm kind of happy with it because you know what? I'm not a pixel counter. I play it at like 720p and 1690 if I can get away with it. And usually with that kind of resolution, I could crank every setting to max with no issues whatsoever. And that's one thing that I also think kind of is a problem too, pixels, but, you know, that's another issue. But, you know, it's kind of the thing about Nintendo and why they don't really necessarily focus on more powerful hardware. Unfortunately, this is the thing that really shoots the Nintendo Switch 2 argument down. Because, really, when you think about it, having a more powerful version of the Switch isn't really necessarily going to make things better. And I don't think it's really necessarily going to make... Well, to tell you the truth, I really don't think it's going to work out in Nintendo's favor anyway, because, you know, let's face it, if we take a look back in their past, whenever they tried to do the most powerful hardware out there, they've kind of failed. Like, the NES, the SNES, I mean, was really good. It was super powerful. However, the Sega Genesis was better, because they were able to utilize that hardware a lot better. Nintendo learned their lesson with that one. Then, of course, also when they decided to release the new 3DS. It was a slightly more powerful version of the 3DS. However, that version of the 3DS failed, and it didn't really necessarily get all that many games for it. Part of it was just because it had a short lifespan, because the Nintendo Switch was just around the corner. But the other part was that not a lot of people were ready to use that kind of hardware. Not a lot of people really knew how to use that hardware, considering that the 3DS was still able to play, and the new 3DS was still backwards compatible with the original 3DS. Kind of the problem with the PlayStation 5 versus the PlayStation 4, if you ask me, because the PlayStation 5 is backwards compatible with a lot of PlayStation 4 games, and a lot of people are gonna go like, well yeah, it becomes like a glorified PlayStation 4. Which, again, really blows the argument out of the water, going like, hey, look, it's not... it's not really necessarily a PlayStation 5. It's not its own console. It's just a glorified, more powerful version of the PlayStation 4. Which, why would I go buy that when I already have the PlayStation 4 right here? You know? Or the PlayStation 4 Pro. I mean, even that was kind of pointless, if you ask me. And again, this also is kind of the biggest problem with Microsoft and Sony's strategy, where they're trying to aim for, like, gamers audiences, you know, the people who are, like, craving more power, craving more hardware, and not really aiming for a casual audience, which, you know, is really most of your swing. This is the one thing that Nintendo has dominated at for years. They've always been trying to appeal to more of a casual audience rather than just trying to reach for those core gamers who want games that are nothing more than just shoot people and slay zombies, you know? Basically riffing on Call of Duty right there. Because, you know, Call of Duty hasn't really necessarily done anything interesting within the past few years, well, actually, for quite some time now, actually. Not since, like, the PlayStation 2. Okay, well, maybe I might as well include the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 5 in that, but still, not since then. It's kind of ridiculous. Again, it's still kind of impressive what you can do on what little hardware. it's kind of embarrassing for some of these bigger consoles out there too. When you actually, it's kind of embarrassing for some of the people who rather make an argument for more hardware better when you expose that kind of truth to them. Because they really can't come back with a defense for that. They can't. There's no real way for them to become back with a defense like that. And to tell you the truth, I mean, if you're really going to care more about the hardware than the actual games themselves, and how well they run and how well they play, then really, not to be really discriminatory here, but I don't think you're really a gamer, per se. Because look, I think the core of the game should be fun. If you're not having fun, then you're not enjoying the game. It's not being the core. If you're basically overstimulated and you don't know what the heck you're doing, then I don't think that's really necessarily pointing out to being a good game either. And you know, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it is basically the game that really counts. Something that kind of drives me nuts about a lot of people within the modern day gaming sphere. But anyway, I think I've ranted on long enough. I'm gonna stop that, because honestly, it's not helping me. It's not really helping me focus. I guess my focus is just kind of all over the place today, huh? Oh well. Problem with the ADHD, right? Anyway. Oh well, I guess it is getting kind of late. And it is daylight savings time after all, so... And I have to live with a whole bunch of other people right now, because I'm not exactly the richest person in the world. I can't afford an apartment right now. I mean, I do have a Patreon. If you feel like I'm worth donating to, you can always check that out. I mean, right now, the lowest tier is $1 a month. If you feel like that's worth donating to, then hey, go right ahead. Whoops, I just clicked on itch. Though, granted, I have been checking it out every once in a while. Haven't checked it out too much of recent, because this whole Game Jam thing is kind of taking me up. Yeah, I still only got one membership. And honestly, it's probably within the free category and not within the dollar category anyway. So I'm not making money off of this. But that's fine. I've kind of accepted the fact that I'm not really necessarily making money off this channel anyway. And honestly, I bet you that one membership is my friend anyway. Yeah, I do need to get in contact with them. But if you want to check it out, actually I do have a roadmap submitted for what I want to do with my engine. And, of course, where I would like to go going forward. And, like I said, my membership tiers are actually fairly cheap. I mean, the basic tier is just $1. I also happen to have a $3 tier. And I have a $5 tier. Yeah, quite literally. I am not trying to charge you over for too much for this month. Too much for this, okay? Just keep that in mind. So, anyway, I might as well just switch back to the live capture for the camera right now, and I might as well just end this video right here. So, anyway, if you like this video, please be sure to hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and comment down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. This is Superchocolatemilkshake, signing off!